So there's this guy, and he has a particular interest in memory, but not just memory. He's particularly interested in how some people can remember so much more than others. How can they fit more into their heads than other people? So he goes on this journey and he researches this, and he tries and figures this out. With that, he discovers this technique, that technique being the method of Loki. It's also known as the memory palace or the mind palace technique. And what it does is it takes advantage of how you can remember any room or any space that you've been in before really easily. And as long as you associate the piece of information you want to remember with that room or space, it will just stay in your head. So this guy, he uses this technique and he enters the USA Memory Championships. And not only that, he wins the whole thing. He has no particular talent or no special memory. He just learns this technique and wins. And that's something that's really interesting to me, because he did it from a place of understanding himself and how he worked and how memory worked. And that's really the question, is what is that and how do you define that? What is sports psychology? So there's a really boring definition of what sports psychology is, and that definition is the study of how psychological factors affect performance. But for me and what I do, psychology is so much more than that. It's the beginning of everything. It's the beginning of every action and every performance. Everything that we are and have around us, that all starts from one source, and that source is thoughts and cognitions and ideas. Life and everything is almost like this process from intangible, unseeable things becoming what our world is, what our lives are, and what our reality is. It's the core, it's the centre of it all, and because of that, at least to me, it takes priority over everything else. And that's especially when it comes to sport, and it's especially when it comes to performance, because with that you can see that our reality, our exterior, is controllable. And what that means for a performer is that you can win and you can change things, but it has to start from the source. And that important process in the context of sport and performance can be broken down really simply. So simple, it's only really three factors. First, there's the thoughts, the cognitions, the emotions in your own mind, how you're processing information and how you're choosing to see what's happening around you. Because then that feeds into the actions you take and the choices that you decide upon, the instruments you have to make an impact on what's happening around you. And then there's reality itself, what you see around you and the construct of life, winning and losing, the highs and the lows, and essentially what you impact upon. These are the three big factors that are always impacting on one another, and when properly considered, they help lead to success. And that memory story is a really good example of that process, because that guy took the time to figure out his own thoughts, his own cognitions, and to understand how memory really worked. And from there, he put that into his actions, and then he wins. And that is a process that people really need to understand. It's not just about to act and to win, but in fact there's this whole unseeable force behind all of that, and to tap into that means you can really change and really improve. And with that also you realise it's not just about winning, and it's not just about squeezing that performance out of somebody or out of yourself. It's really about growth. If you want to improve yourself, or if you want to improve a player or a team, your focus shouldn't be on what you can already see or what's already there. Your focus should be on the soil and the roots of yourself or the person you're trying to help. Because just like how a tree needs the right soil, the right roots to feed into itself to help it grow, a person needs the right culture, the right environment to feed into how that person thinks and how that person processes information. And from there, a person changes and grows and improves. And to me, that's what sports psychology is. It's making a difference through a focus on the roots of yourself and the roots and the soil of every person. And through that, there's a whole amount of change and improvement that's actually possible.